Hey everyone, Dominic here with the Ravening Hordes Game Club in Saskatoon. This time we've got Vampire Covenant versus the Ogre Khans. Again, this is 5,000 points. We played Marching Columns with Hold the Ground as a secondary objective. Looking at the battlefield here, we've got a hill, a forest, two pieces of impassable, ruins over here, and then just this one part is actually a hill. The rest is cut off as a table edge. For the vampire deployment, I've got a unit of vampire knights with a vampire courtier in there, a varkolak. Next over is Barrow Guard with halberds and a Barrow King, followed by a big unit of skeleton, sword and board with a vampire count general in there, wraiths up front and center, a unit of zombies behind, 3 bat swarms, and then I actually held my Shrieking horror in reserve. For the Ogre Khans, he's got 2 units of yetis, a rock back there, 2 big brother giants, as well as he's got 2 saber-toothed tigers kind of hidden behind the trees there. Next over, he's got 2 units of bruisers. One of them has got a Khan BSB, and the other one's got his Great Khan General in there. Beside that, he's got a unit of bombardiers, and way over here, he's got a unit of Tusker Cav. Here's a quick look at the table after Vanguard moves. As you see, the varkolak moved up and those yetis moved up. I believe the yetis actually have moved regular moves as well at this point, but Ogre Khans took turn 1, and here we go. So on this this flank here, like I said, the yetis had already moved up. The rest of the side kind of advances fairly quickly. His center moves up a bit, and the bombardiers move up a little bit and change position. They decide that they're going to go after my knights or my varkolak. They didn't march because they didn't want to take the test for the terrain, and they are outside of range for shooting. The Tusker Cav kind of held in wait. That's pretty much it for movement. He's got no magic, and then he did a little bit of... Actually, I don't think there was any shooting. There was 2 crossbow shots from his characters that walked up into the Wraiths and caused a wound. And that's it for Ogre Khans. We go into Vampire Covenant turn 1. The varkolak ran up on the flank there, out of our arc of sight of these Tuskers. The knights advanced up, as did most of my center. The bat swarms kind of did a little bit of reshuffling, but that's it for movement. Into magic, I only managed to cast Whispers of the Veil to lower these guys' resilience and discipline. And that's pretty much it. We go into Ogre Khans turn 2. So here's what the board is looking like. He didn't declare any charges this time. The Tusker Cav kind of moved backwards there. Everything else moved up. Both those units got in within 6 of the secondary objective. And the yetis moved way far back onto my deployment zone, essentially. He goes into shooting. He takes a crossbow shot here at the flank of the Wraiths. Doesn't hit. 2 crossbow shots at the Wraiths. Picks off another dude. And then the bombardiers back there unleash a volley at my knights. Take care of 1. And that's pretty much it for turn 2 Ogre Khans. Vampire Covenant turn 3 or turn 2. I don't believe I declared any charges. I tried to do a march test with that varkolak, and he failed, so he just moved on to the other side of the hill for safety there. And the knights move up the center, giving them an 18-inch charge to the flank, I believe. Elsewhere, I can only get one of... I could have got both units within 6 of the secondary, but I only put the Barrow Guard within 6, so I'm going to give up the objective the end of turn 2. The Wraiths moved through the giant, caused 4 wounds to it. The center giant there. My ambusher came on. He moved up, flew over top between these two guys. Started here, flew over here. And there's the wounds. It's pretty much how the table is looking like. In the magic phase, I brought one of the Wraiths back, and I did the Rot Within and sacrificed a couple dudes to lower their weapon skill, offensive and defensive skill for the rest of the game, and bump mine. Shooting, I did 5 wounds over here. They pass or panic, and that's kind of what the table is looking like as we go into OgreCon's turn 3. So he's got quite a few charges here. The wounded giant and the dog right beside it declare a charge against here. This saber-tooth declares a charge against the flank of these bats. The giant goes into the front, and then the rock comes into the flank of the Wraiths as well. The Tuskers declare a charge needing a 10, and both his block units also declared a charge against the Barrow Guard. As you can see, only they made it in. All of this made it in over here, and the Tuskers failed. Over here, he just kind of repositions around a bit, trying to create a bit of a trap. And that's pretty much it. No magic. Goes into shooting again. I don't think he caused any wounds this time. Into combat, he does a bunch of wounds. I fail to wound the giant back. I hit a bunch of times. I failed to actually roll the wound, and I crumble. The bats crumble. He overruns with the giant, he overran with the giant to try and get out of arc. Didn't go very far. The dog that was in the flank of the bats overran to get in the way of the vampire's unit. And then finally, this dog overran as well. Came up to block up those zombies. Into combat, bit of a bloodbath. I do a lot of damage to his unit before he manages to do some back. He needs a 6 to stick around, and he passes it the first try. So that's kind of what things are looking like as we go into Vampire turn 3. So Vampire turn 3, those knights declared a charge against the Tuskers. They failed, so the varkolak goes in to sacrifice himself to get in the way. Up here, the general's skeleton unit did declare a charge against the saber-tooth, as did the zombies declared a charge against their saber-tooth. The Shrieking Horror flew around to face the backmost unit of Yetis, and a little bit more repositioning with those last 2 remaining bat swarms. Into magic, I don't think. Oh yes, I got I raised wounds back on the Barrow Guard. They're almost back up to full strength, as well as I did the bubble and raised a bunch of zombies back to bump them. We go into shooting. I did 5 wounds again, and he fails his panic test and runs off the board. Into combat, the zombies chase down the dog. It's fleeing, overrun into the rock. The skeletons outright kill their saber-tooth, and in the Barrow Guard fight, I kill the unit around him. He does a little bit of damage to me. I think he only did 3 wounds. And then I chase his general down. End of this turn, I pick up this secondary because I've got 2 within. He's only got 1. So now it's tied. And that's how things are looking like as we go into turn 4. So for OgreCon's turn 4, the giant goes into the bats. The giants up here goes into the flank of the Barrow Guard, and the last bruiser unit goes into the front. Over here, they declare that charge against the varkolak, and everybody makes their charges. Over there, they just decide to move up a little bit. They failed their march test, so. Over here, goes into shooting, picks off another knight with the bombardiers. Into combat, he takes care of the varkolak, no, not a problem, and just pivots on the spot. Over here, he does a bunch of wounds to me. I do a bunch of wounds back to his unit. I'm stubborn, so that's after crumble checks and everything. You can see I'm down to 8 rank and file on the character. And the other giant finishes off his bats, pivots on the spot, and that rock is stuck fighting a massive unit of zombies. And yeah, that's how things are looking as we go into Vampire turn 4. So for Vampire turn 4, the Knights declare a charge against the Tusker Cav. They make it in. This guy turns about to face the Yetis. There was another charge there. Seem to be missing a picture. That's okay. So back here, I did declare the charge into the flank of this giant, and then he just changed position. So that was the other one that I'm missing there. This bat swarm passed its march test, came up to sit in the center as well. So that's a charge. Here's that. Into magic, I got Whispers of the Veil off on these guys. I wanted to make sure that they do flee. Into shooting, I shot those last 4 wounds on the Yetis. Combat, the Knights take 1 wound, but cause a bunch, chase them down just towards the edge there, not off the table. Into combat, I didn't manage to kill. I only did 3 of the wounds necessary, 3 out of 4 wounds necessary to kill the giant, which meant that he got to thunder stomp and do all that kind of craziness. So with that, he actually won combat. I crumbled a bit, and the Barrow Guard unit, the Barrow Guard themselves died, but the character crumbled out from combat res. And now they're looking like they're in a very terrible spot. So as we're going into Ogre Khan's turn 5, that's kind of how things are looking. So Ogre Khan's turn 5, he obviously declared those 2 charges on the front and on the flank with the giant and the other guy. He didn't have anything else to move. The dog that was fleeing had continued fleeing and fled off the table on this turn. Took shooting, shot these guys down to just the character and 1 wound left on the vampire unit. There's those completed charges. We go into this combat up here. Crumbles out the unit underneath of the general, so he dies. I did kill the giant, but this combat here, he continues to grind them out. I did my crumble checks. I lost a few more zombies, and I took 5 wounds crumbling the Shrieking Horror. I do have another guy who's got evocation, so he takes over as the master for the start of my turn 5. So for Vampire turn 5, he leaves the unit. The unit just reforms on the spot. He goes over there. Go into magic. I raise... I did lower their resilience and their discipline, and then I also got reroll to hits. I tried to do raise a wound back on that unit, but he dispelled it. He finishes off the zombies, pivots to face, and that's pretty much it. We're looking at that. So into turn 6, double charge here, and he decides to go and shoot at my remaining dude. He only causes 1 wound on him though. And combat, they finish off the bats, not a problem. Vampire turn 6 to wrap things out. I declared a charge from the lone knight. I was just going to see if he wanted to stand and shoot at him. And if he didn't, I wasn't going to declare any other charges. He did. He thought about it for a while and kind of looking, you know, gave my best poker face, but he figured out what I was planning, so... stand and shot the last remaining moon of the vampire unit. Declared the charge from my guy into him. He held. I made it. This guy comes up here, and I was all excited. I'm like, I'm just going to scream that guy off the table, totally forgetting that I had just taken 5 wounds and I only had 1 scream. I go into magic, and I get my wound back. I cast it with 2 dice. He failed his dispel attempt. Get the wound back. And then I do Ancestral Aid. He fails his dispel attempt again, so I get it off. And then he had 5 dice left to my 4, because he had fizzled a couple times. I cast Whispers of the Veil on his unit, and he he failed the dispel attempt. So 3 spells, 3 successes. Yeah, over here I was all excited. I did my 6 wounds, and then he reminded me that I had 1 shot, so didn't do anything. Over here, he swings, doesn't cause a single wound to me. I only did 2 to him, which is fine. He's still down. He's steadfast 6, and he fails. He runs 7, and I only go 6. So I tried to get those last few points right at the end, but you know, that's how it goes. Fun game, really quick game. That's what the table was looking like after all the carnage. He did win the secondary objective, and was up on points. So the split before's objective was 13-7 for the Ogre Cons, goes to a 16-4. And then with our league, we award extra points for being fully painted, as well as an extra point for playing every 500 points above 4,500. So the final score of this game was 19 to 5 for the Ogre Cons. Again, really fun game. It's always good to go out and get a game in at Dragon's Den Games here in Saskatoon. So shout out to them. But if you guys are ever down there and are interested in checking out a game, be sure to stop by and take a number. One of us can get in contact with you guys. So hope you guys enjoy the battle and stay tuned for the next one.